I started reviewing a bunch of rainmaking books, and everything that I was finding, I never did. And I did about $6 to $10 million every year.
For those of us who haven't been in touch with that creative spark, what was that like for you?
It just kind of overtook me where I couldn't eat, sleep, or do anything other than write the book. I don't think I've ever had that happen to me, that creative overtake. I always thought that was for somebody else, right? Like, I thought that was for musicians. I'm a lawyer/consultant. Right?
It's almost that the project or triggered something in you, and like you said, unleashed or uncapped this almost superhuman power to be able to write.
Our listeners know you're in the middle of writing a book, and creating that. When I was writing my book, it took some time. It wasn't necessarily a short process from inception to birth and out into the world, if you will.
Yeah.
But our guest today, like, my mind is blown because this person literally created this book and it's out in the world, available to people to highlight and bookmark, and it's already being highlighted and bookmarked and tabbed and referred to in, like, I don't know, 5 seconds. Not really, but like a few days, right? I don't even know how that's possible, but I'm really excited to welcome Sejal Patel onto the show, author of Rainmaker. Sejal, welcome.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you, Sejal. You and I have known each other for quite some time. I've been a student of your craft, and I even told you when we reconnected that when I grow up, I want to be like you. And what you do is really near and dear to my heart. I've been an attorney for close to 20 years now, maybe 21. And when we started the law firm, I was sort of, tasked or de facto leading our business development, our marketing, our outreach, all of that stuff. And so it's really a topic that I'm excited to get into. And it's not really just being rainmakers at law firms. I think the principles of your craft and your work and your book really applicable to, first of all, any service professional, but really applicable to any professional, whether it's outward client facing or inward client facing, right?
Yes. Especially when inward, you may not be gaining revenue, but you still have to sell your ideas, whether it's budget or you're working with different divisions of a corporation. So there's inward as well as external. So it fits just about everyone that has to go out and convince someone of their ideas.
I just ordered it, listeners, on Kindle. I'm really, really excited to dive in because it is written for attorneys technically, but obviously, as Dinesh said, it's really applicable to anyone just wants to get better at conversation, honestly. And I think we always, no matter where we're at, there's always another level. And so, Sejal, the listeners know that you authored this book and that it's out in the world, but I would really love to kind of give them a little taste of, where are you based? Who are you? And then I really want to get into what the heck happened. What was that like for you to get this book out in a weekend? Take it away.
So, Sejal Patel, my background is I went to law school, but kind of followed a non-traditional legal career. And so I worked for the Big Four. I worked for litigation consulting companies. And my job was to put all the right people in a room together. So for over 25 years, I would work with partners at law firms in New York City and find them resources for their cases. So whether it was damage analysis or forensic accounting, I'd find those people and work the cases with the partner. And over the course of time, the partners would ask me questions about what my day-to-day looked like. And a lot of times we're at lunch and I tell them what I think is common sense. And these partners would actually start taking notes on napkins about what my day looked like and would ask, do you mind if I take some notes? And to me, it was like, wait, what am I saying that's noteworthy? Because I thought everybody knew this.
Right.
Didn't everybody view the world the same way I did? We all went to school, we all came out. Aren't they doing all the same things that I'm doing? Because if you know anything about these litigation consulting firms, they're set up exactly like a law firm. in the sense that there are billable hours, there's origination credit. It all is identical to
Hmm.
the law firm version of it. Um, and that is kind of where I started Sage Ivy. And what had happened was, we were talking earlier about the pandemic. The pandemic kind of, for me, made me take a step back to stop and think about what I wanted in life. With, I think a lot of people stopped and tried to figure that out. And for me, I like the client portion of the life. I liked working with lawyers, and that was a part of the job I liked, but I didn't necessarily like working inside of these corporations where I had to deal with internal politics.
Hmm.
And that was kind of where it started. Um, in fact, what had happened was I was having 2 knee replacements. I was in the hospital for a week, and I asked one of my girlfriends to get a piece of paper and pen. And while I was all doped up, I began writing a business plan out, because I had nothing to do in the hospital but think of what I'd like to create in my life. And that was the inception of Sage Ivy Consulting, was in a hospital bed. And since that time, I created a company that basically goes out and consults with law firms to talk about how to increase books of business, doing business analysis of their networks. So that's kind of where the company took off. Where the book came into play was, I had gone to a women in law conference in Chicago early May, and I had a bunch of women attorneys ask me questions about these rainmaking books, because they were going out into the world and learning how to play golf. And my question to them was, do you like to play golf?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, so then why are you playing golf? And they're like, well, because the firm told me that I need to play golf.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, okay, so you're learning a new hobby that you don't really like, but you're forcing yourself to do it because that's what the firm told you to do. And so with that in mind, I started reviewing a bunch of rainmaking books. And everything that I was finding, I never did. And I did about $6 to $10 million every year and had a great book business. Um, but these rainmaking books were like, learn how to do an elevator pitch. And
Mm.
my challenge to that is, no one's going to hire you in 30 seconds. I don't care
Right.
who you are and how
Yeah.
awesome and amazing you are. No one's hiring you in 30 seconds. So why are we learning it?
Right.
And what do we do within those 30 seconds?
Yeah.
So I had all these ideas in my head. And once I read these rainmaking books, I was like, this is nothing. I didn't do any of this.
Right.
So Thursday before Memorial Day, I was like, let me take a whack at it. And I started writing, thinking, I don't know, can I write a book? I don't know if I can write a book. I'm just trying. And then it just kind of overtook me, where I couldn't eat, sleep, or do anything other than write the book. And by Monday morning, Memorial Day, at 7 a.m., I had 21 chapters.
Love it.
And that's
So
kind of
good.
where all of this came from. It's called Rainmaker Unleashed on Amazon.
Well, it sounds like even the process of creating the book was unleashed. So how apropos that that's what you named it. I kind of want to know, what did that physically feel like for you when you are locked in and so focused on getting a message out, and you clearly cared about it so much? I think it's something that many of us sort of hear about,
Mhm.
right? When you hear about various musicians or authors or creators of any kind, you kind of get in that zone, and you could even say like, oh well, when I'm intraoperatively doing a procedure that I really care about, and whatever, or I'm really good at litigation, when I'm doing that, I'm in the zone, right? But so many of us, to your point, are kind of doing things because that's sort of what we've subconsciously created, but we're not aware that we've done that.
Mhm.
We're just
Hmm.
kind of going through the motions. So remind, for those of us who haven't been in touch with that creative spark, what was that like for you?
I felt like I was possessed. I didn't recognize myself. Um, mostly it was after the process, because I hadn't set out to write a book. I hadn't researched it. I didn't look at how to publish. I didn't do any of that. I just started in this process, and it took me over where I don't think I've ever had that happen to me on that creative overtake. I always thought that was for somebody else, right? Like I thought that was for musicians and other people, but I'm a lawyer slash consultant. Where is that
Hmm.
fire to creative process? I didn't think I had that in me.
Yeah.
And to see it kind of flow out um, was kind of crazy,
Yeah.
and my mom was like, it was God possessed you for a weekend. Bhagwan possessed you for a
Yeah.
weekend and overtook you. And I was like, okay, maybe, because I felt like I was eating pizza rolls at 4 a.m. because pizza rolls were the fastest nuke in a microwave.
Yeah.
I just couldn't take the time to do anything
Yeah.
other than get it out of my system. And I think that I don't know if I can do it again, to be honest.
Well, maybe
Even
not right now, because that's an incredibly taxing thing, right? Spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, it is taxing. You gave
well,
birth.
and no one told me this, but like physically, I apparently sit with my legs crossed and had pressure on one of my nerves in my leg
Mm.
for too long that my left foot was dropping and I was tripping over myself. And
Wow.
apparently, like, I physically hurt myself when I hadn't left the house to like by writing this book for four
Wow.
days. I apparently sat cross-legged. Do
Yeah.
not do that.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's tapas, right? That is meditation to me. When I hear your mom's reflection, sorry, Dinesh, I cut you off. I'm just so
okay.
enamored with Sejal. I'm totally fangirling over here. It is that, whatever you want to call it, if you don't believe in God, there's that universal force, that creative energy that's so connected in every one of our beings that it really does take over. And it's so cool to see it literally just come through you like that.
What's funny is that my mom had said to me, she's like, do you really want to tell people that you wrote it in 4 days? And I'm like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
And I can't figure out like why my Indian mom thought that it was terrible idea to tell people that I wrote in 4 days. She's like, don't you want to make it sound like you were deliberate and had thought it through and like it took months? And I'm like, why? This is exactly what happened, and I'm not going to shy away from that. That's my story. And so I don't know if you guys could tell me if there's a plus or minus to it. But I kind of believe in living in the authentic world, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I have a question for you. For any of us who are listening, right? Or maybe even for me, who hasn't quite experienced that in my life. I'm 47 years old. I haven't really found anything that I'm that passionate about or that I don't talk myself out of or I don't find to be too challenging to attempt, right? Um, what would you say to that person about, trying to find the thing that draws that out of you? Because the way you're describing it, it wasn't that you woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm going to grind this out because why not, right?
Right.
It's almost that the project or triggered something in you, and like you said, unleashed or uncapped this almost superhuman power to be able to write it, right? And we'll talk about the book, but for those of us who are listening, nothing like that in life excites me, right? What would you say? Because I'm pretty sure you didn't know you had this in you.
Not at all. I think part of it is getting to know yourself
Mhm.
better, right? And that takes time and investment in yourself. And I don't know if a lot of people invest the time to get to know themselves
Mm.
better. And that was kind of, I'm in my 50s, and that was kind of my project in my 50s was to know me and what my wants are and where I spend my time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better way of looking at it is what do I spend my time doing and do I enjoy it? Because a lot of times we do things that we don't even like to do.
Absolutely.
And but we do it because it's obligation, or there's requirements, family obligations, work obligations. There's all these obligations in our life. But
Yeah.
I think the pandemic for me was a self inventory
Hmm.
of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And that was the start of the journey of where the book kind of
Mhm.
came from, was me taking the time to figure myself out. And the book is just kind of a extension of that. Because once I knew what I was passionate about, and I think I spent my whole life trying to figure out what's that thing that wakes me up in the morning. And I never had that until the last couple of years.
Yeah. Sejal, what struck me was earlier I was thinking about the women who were playing golf because they felt like they had to, they were told to. First of all, there's so many, especially as a woman and a woman of color, that can be triggering for many just because of all the generational trauma and cultural expectations that we as South Asian women have put on us. And then to add in something else like that that takes us away from our light, that takes us away from what aligns with us and what gives us joy and purpose is really soul sucking. But so I love that you're encouraging a reversal of that. But what you just said really, really, I think is critical. You said, I'm in my 50s. And so sometimes I think, especially in this instant gratification world, we think to ourselves, and we do it to kids that are as young as 3 or 4. What do you want to be when you grow up? I've never asked my kids that because I feel like it just puts so much pressure to put ourselves in this box of what do people want me to be? What would I be good at? What if I'm not good at it? Um, and you never know, some of these things, the discovery of what it is that will light you up to where you are driven crazy for a weekend to put something out like this, that takes decades. Sometimes that takes lived experience. It takes a little bit of getting bruised up and scuffed up and reflecting. And so just really to commend the journey that you've been on so far and how you've decided to take that and make it impactful for other people
Hmm.
is really, really, really special. So thank you for staying in tune with that and sticking with it so that you can.
Yeah.
My question was more about, like, we've talked so much about your process of the book, but I want listeners to really get to know a little bit more. What are you hoping for readers to get once they pick your book up?
My big esoteric process of why the book is, I want to create change inside of the law firms. I want a power shift inside of the law firms. And if I can empower through the book a bunch of people of color, introverts, people that are kind of left behind to get to management committee, maybe the world changes for the better a little bit. So
Mhm.
that is the big flashing goal that I don't know if it'll happen, but this is my small piece of change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for everyone else, if we go down granular, it's truly because we were never taught any of these soft skills in law school, and they're not taught in the law firms. Um, if I can make an impact in a small way, and my current clients who I am helping consult with on their books of business, um, I love that they tell me that I'm changing their life. That I'm feeding their twins, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
very powerful when someone says that to you. And the book is to get more of my thoughts out there because I think that there's tons of coaching types of things into the legal world, but I don't think they have my background
Right.
of being a lawyer as well as a consultant to come look at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
And for the law firms themselves, the issue always is retention. And lots of attorneys leave because they don't bring in enough revenue.
Hmm.
And so it's stopping and looking at those law firms to say, have you analyzed as to why?
Hmm.
And maybe they have, but they haven't come to the conclusion that we just haven't taught these soft skills. They try, they hire a bunch of kind of, coaching companies to come in, But coaching doesn't work because it's not made uniquely for you,
Right.
right? Like each person is different. We all have different lived experiences. We all, women of color, our ethnicities, gender, personalities, introvert versus extrovert, first generation. There's so many qualities that make us unique.
Hmm.
And these other types of coaching businesses that come in, they want to cookie cut it. And it doesn't work that way because it's
Yeah.
not impactful. And so the way I work with law firms is to go in and create programs, and then it's individualized per attorney, because let's just face it, if you have a group setting, attorneys aren't going to tell you where they failed.
Right.
Ego's going to get in the
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to tell their colleagues what they sucked at. So it doesn't work. And kind of like a personal trainer, what I want to teach is muscle memory,
Hmm.
that seamlessly this flows into your life as opposed to another additional to do.
Right.
And that's kind of where I come from, of all the things I want to teach you, that if you can even take 2 takeaways and it impacts your practice, then I've done my job as an author.
Yeah.
And I know that was a long-winded version
No,
of your question.
no, it's great. It's great. It's a great segue. So it's about developing business, and much like the financial movement to bring financial literacy to women, I think, like you are alluding to, it is the pathway to sustainability. It is the pathway to independence. It is the pathway to a fulfilling career. At least for me, you know, having clients of my own gave me a sense of ownership that allowed me to bring a level of legal acumen that felt personal, right? I mean, one of the things that was said to me earlier in my career, that a big book of business, a corner office, a title in the practice of law is not the definition of success. The definition of success is being able to work with people you call friends. And I meticulously try to work with clients who are my friends. And right now, they are my friends. Whether you meet up or you send pictures of your kids or helping each other out, I've been blessed in that regard. But it hasn't always been that way. And it did take Wharton Bellamy, I'm sure you know who he is, um, to sit me down in his house in Philadelphia when I was probably a first year or second year and teach me a lot of things that you talk about in your book. But before we get into some of that, I want to give you a list of excuses. Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Um, I'm a first generation. I didn't grow up here. I don't like sports. I don't watch Monday Night Football. I have a Caribbean accent. I'm an introvert. I don't like selling. Um, I'm not very good at it. I barely have time to finish my work. And it, like, I don't know, like, why would someone even want to hire me? Right? So that's the list of excuses that starts with people at a very, very early point in their career. And if one thing I know, right or wrong, is that what you're talking about is a 10-year program. It's a long horizon where you have to invest in relationships, you have to show up, you have to deliver value, you have to make deposits before making any withdrawals, right?
Correct.
What do you say before you even develop a program and before you convince someone of the things that they should do? You have to convince them that this could work for them, right? And they have a path to partnership, or that they can be successful as a partner and move away from the stigmas of sort of big law and, well, I want a family, I want to be a mom, or I want to be there for my kids, and I don't want to work 2,400 billable hours. So I'm not interested in becoming a partner, first of all. I don't want to rain make. I just want to, pay off my student loans and then go work for the government or do something else, right? What do you say to entice people or to encourage people that this path is possible for them before you even develop the program and give them the tools?
Well, it just depends, right? Like you have to analyze, like, look, if someone is okay being a service partner or wants a 9 to 5 kind of job, I'm not looking to convince them.
Mhm.
It isn't for everyone. So it isn't like something that like I'm forcing upon people or convincing them of. The people that come to me
Mhm.
because they want it, right? They want to be a super successful partner, or they want to get to management committee, or they want to be placed on some committee. So, or they just are new partners and have no skill set whatsoever and are told from scratch, hey, you need to bring in $2 million. And they're freaking out because they don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So for me, it isn't convincing the people, I talk about it in the book, not everyone is your client, nor should they be. Right. Just what you said about all your clients are friends, you're ahead of the game. Most people think that clients can't be friends, that you have to keep a professional distance.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that that's not true at all. If you look at the top 1% of rainmakers across all the law firms, they're friends with their clients. That's why they have a $50 million client, because they travel together. Their kids play, they go to vacation, the kids play together. It's a lot of different reasons, but there's a unique relationship. And we don't ever learn about that. We don't learn about how those top rainmakers in all sorts of industries, how they build those relationships, or even how the relationship started. So they just tell us, inside of a law firm or a lot of places, they just tell us, go have lunch with your law school friends.
Yeah.
And that's great. But I don't want to ruin the relationship with my law school friends by asking for business. No one has taught me how to ask for business. And there's a risk involved there, a personal risk, not a professional risk, but a personal risk. And lots of people don't even do it because of that personal risk to that relationship. And so for me, it's talking to attorneys that they know that they're afraid to do that. And they're already in a mindset of, I need to learn.
Right.
And I need to figure it out. And so it's not necessarily convincing the folks that you should rainmake. If you're happy with your life, I'm all for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important distinction to make, is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's what's filling your cup, by all means. And I think it's very easy to get drawn into this, what I have is not enough.
Right.
In which case it will never be enough. And also, it's okay to want more. It's okay to give yourself permission to explore what that looks like. And you said it, I can't remember if you said it before we hit record or after, but this idea of it's okay to slow down and reflect on, well, where is my life in alignment with what I actually want? So I love that you're not really here for everybody. But if you're hungry, you're here with plenty of food to give, right?
Exactly. Well, I think because it's self-reflection, right? You have to decide, it's your life. You have to decide what you want out of it. And if you're ambitious and want that life, great. Here's some things to chew on. But if you don't, and you're okay with, how your life is going, look, we have stages of life, right? Young mothers, you're going to want a little bit more home life balance, but then the kids leave and now you're rearing to go again. Well, it's different stages in life where this might fit.
Yeah. And let me tweak the question a little bit, right?
Okay.
I want it, but I don't think I can get it.
Everyone can get it.
Say more about that. Is this a natural? Is rainmaking an extroversion? Are rainmakers born, or is it a skill that people can learn regardless of your social propensity, your likes, your ability to hold a conversation, all these things that we might think that would make us not predisposed for it?
So let's break it up into two sections, the extroverts and the introverts. Extroverts, their challenge is they don't stop and listen. They're so busy talking that they're not hearing what potential clients are saying to them. So for them, I have to slow them down. It's the same rule I apply to both extroverts and introverts. It's an 80-20 rule. You need to talk only 20% of the time, and the potential client or the client needs to talk 80% of the time. And that slows down the extrovert because they now know that they can only talk 20% of the time. So make your questions count in that 20%. But the reverse is applicable to the introverts. Once they know that they can only talk, they only need to speak 20% of the time, it gives them a sense of comfort that, okay, they know the rules. Because introverts, for them, the challenge is that they're nervous to go out to lunch. Extroverts have no problem going to lunch. In
Mhm.
fact, the bigger the show for them, they love it, right? Um, Especially litigators. They love to dance in front of court. They love talking. But the introverts, what they want is the rules. Tell me what I need to do and then I can do it. So
Right.
it's a learned skill that all of us can do it. It just depends on like who you are, and that's where it becomes individualized,
Hmm.
right? Because I need to know who you are and where your comforts are, and I can tell you what to do based on those factors. Because
Yeah.
I think it's actually easier for the introvert and it's always harder for the extrovert. The extrovert, it's such a challenge to get them to stop talking. But like the introvert actually becomes more successful because they listen better.
Mm.
So I think it's applicable to everyone. It's just a matter of who you are and if you can implement the rules. And as lawyers, we have case law, we have rules all over the place. So those rules, once you are aware of them, it's easier
Hmm.
to apply them.
Yeah. It doesn't become, what I'm hearing you say is that once you have guideposts and guidelines, you kind of take something that feels very intangible and you make it tangible.
Hmm.
You don't have to be quiet all the time, nor do you have to speak all the time.
Right.
You can kind of gauge what that looks like and figure it out. And I'm just curious, you're here, you said I was on your website and I'm kind of reading about you and it's, you clearly had these realizations over time. Was there a specific thing where you were like, this pivotal moment is where I had my ahas?
So that was early in my career. 2 years I was beating my head up with trying to get clients, and I had over 800 meetings with potential clients, and I was running around everywhere, and I couldn't convert anything into revenue at all. And one of my attorney friends in Chicago, John, said to me, he's like, "What are you doing? You have more meetings than anyone I know and zero revenue." And so then I told him, I'm like, "Well, the firm told me that I need to talk about the mission statement and the value add and show marketing materials and do all these razzle dazzle kind of things." And so that's what I was doing because I've never done this before and no one has taught me how to do it.
Mm.
And he's like, "Well, they're going to fire you in 6 months." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I have zero in revenue. Of course they're going to fire me." And he's like, "So stop doing that." And I'm like, I was in my 30s and early 30s. And I'm like, I have nothing in common with senior partners at law firms. What am I like? I would call my brother to get stats if I knew that, somebody like Duke basketball. I'd call my brother and get stats. And, all I knew was like Coach K. So I needed him to help me with the stats to say at a meeting and fully aware that if they dug any deeper, then I knew nothing. And I was totally faking it. And my friend John's like, "Stop doing stuff like that." And I'm like, "Okay." So then what am I supposed to talk about? I'm kind of this random Indian girl that's from Nebraska who, is kind of, I don't know, I challenge authority. I'm going to say things, I might curse. Like, there's all sorts of things that, like, is totally inappropriate. And he's like, "There's no such thing as inappropriate. Just
Yeah.
go out and be you. You have nothing to lose. They're going to let you go." And that was the pivotal moment
Mm.
because in 6 months I did over $6 million of revenue in those 6 months. And for me it was, oh, so basically he's telling me to go be me. Well, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to go try to be my normal self and see what happens. So
Yeah.
that
Mm.
was the pivotal moment, was the more me I was, the more I was generating in revenue.
I love it. So one of the complaints I hear from junior people, like when you were talking about in your mid 30s where you are and not having anything in common with senior partners or people who have the ability to give you business or to hire
Right.
you, for example, is, well, I got nothing to offer them, right? I spend my weekends drinking beer on my back patio of my apartment, and they're in the Hamptons golfing with the general counsel of whatever. So I got nothing to offer them. I hear I should give them value. I should, show up and be helpful, but I got nothing. Like short of like washing their car, which I'm sure they don't want me to do because I'm not very good at washing my car.
Yeah.
What can I offer to these people so that they find value in me to even take the meeting?
So it depends, right? Like I ask people to start where they are as opposed to where they need to go.
Hmm.
Meaning that if you're in your 30s, for me it was a little bit different because I was in the consulting world and my role was to chase business. But normally someone in their 30s doesn't necessarily have to chase business just yet,
Right.
right? And so in that stage, what I tell people is go reconnect. You know lots and lots of people. Go put them in your LinkedIn, reconnect, and go do silly stuff. Because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, everyone you know will be somebody. You just don't know which ones it will be.
Yeah.
So build out your network when you have nothing critical that's going to impact it, right? Like you don't have those numbers on you at that point. Right now, you can go out and go take some shots. It's okay. Go be silly and stupid because those memories for when your friends become somebody are invaluable later because you're
Absolutely.
not chasing the 60-year-old like I was
Yeah.
Yeah.
at that stage in life.
Well, I was just thinking, it's like, so what does that look like? And I mean, I have an answer for myself, but for somebody to be told like, just go be yourself when especially, and again, I do not want to put everybody in one box, but for many women of color, we're told like, these are the parameters. You don't question them.
Right.
Like that is a little bit of a mind bender.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like at that point, you don't really have enough lived experience in professionally, right? To be like, well, let me mentor you or let me offer quote unquote value that way. But it's interesting how you can even just say things like, hey, are you a Friends fan? Like, and what's your favorite episode? Or like, what's your favorite character? Those are really like fun, authentic ways that I like to connect with people. But again, I've never been in a big four. I've never been in corporate. So what are things that, are those things allowed? I heard you say they're not, nothing's inappropriate, but what would you advise? How do you tell these people to show up authentically?
So with women, it's a little bit different because what I talk about is we already have emotional quotient, right? We already have no EQ. We know where the mean girls are. We know who's giving us a side eye. We have all of these soft skills that men didn't have through lived experience. We know at like 10 years old who the mean girls are. But nobody has taught us take those soft skills that we've had our whole lifetime and apply it to the work context. And what I mean by that is we're good at developing friendships. We have a group of women that support us through thick and thin that we turn to complain about all sorts of things that are happening in our life or to share our happy moments with. But because we have that in a work context, how that looks is I'm asking folks to go out there and go be friends with your clients. Go learn about where they grew up, where they went to school, how many kids they have, whether they like cats or dogs, they like what hobbies, pickleball, hiking. It could be cooking. It could be all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Women are good at uncovering all of those personal attributes about people because we do it all the time.
Yeah.
We do it with our friends.
Yeah.
And so, that's a kind of a struggle that men have with to make that kind of connection. Men struggle with. I got to give them a list of questions and they memorize those questions in order to. I have to tell them, do not ask for business. Women have the patience. It's just that nobody has told us to do it this way.
Yeah.
They told us to learn how to play golf and told us to be part of country clubs and things like that. let's leverage the fact that we're women, right? You can make connections at kids' parents,
Mm-hmm.
groups, neighborhood groups. There's so many different ways that are already
Yeah.
incorporated in your life
Yeah.
that you can leverage. It's just tweak the conversation. Start with personal first and then go to business so that follow-up is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I tell my clients it takes 7 to 8 interactions in order to convert into revenue.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do those interactions look like? If it's only business, then you can only follow up with a white paper or something work related.
Yeah.
But if it's personal, like if I know that someone's kids graduating from college this weekend, you can text them and say, how did graduation go?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's showing you care. And women have an easier time to show people that they care than men do. And because of that reason, I think they should be excellent at this. It's just a matter of switching their mindset
Yeah.
because they already know how to do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm hearing you say, like, let's normalize, even because there's so much stigma around children in the workplace. For men, I would imagine, Dinesh, I've kind of gathered this from your stories. It's like, well, I'm busy being a lawyer, so I don't have time to be a good dad, right? And you show very openly, like, yeah, I'm letting my daughter paint my toenails. Like, you're saying it out loud, which I think is just so, so amazing. For women, I remember I was told, like, you don't need to talk about your children at work. That's really inappropriate. Even if it was maybe something that I'm worried about, or like, oh, we had a cold snap and now my kid is at school without their jacket. I'm wondering if I have time between patients to go run and give it to them. It's like, there is a stigma, this old stigma of that. And I think it's changing. And I think, it sounds like what you're doing is encouraging people to say, don't let that narrative of this is inappropriate or it's too personal. Like, yeah, you don't want to tell people gory details of how you like melted down last night, but maybe you do at some point, right? After built trust.
Right.
That's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay to cry at work if that's, like that's okay. And I love that you're really championing authenticity in every way possible.
Right. Because I think part of it is that there's so many terms that, in the workplace that we get. We're too aggressive. You're a know-it-all. There's so many representations. So, and that's the internal side of work. So yes, you're going to get that internally, but on the flip, your potential clients, you get to control. And if that's where your control is at in the workplace, forget the firm, go get your clients, go build the relationships, because that converts to power inside of the firm. That, guess what? You're no longer aggressive if you're bringing in a gazillion clients, right? Like, then in fact, your opinion matters because you have power and leverage inside of the firm. So when people are like struggling, like, oh, I'm trying to do this internally, stop focusing on the internal path and focus on the external path, because that's what will bring you back to where you want to go career-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been doing this for a while. You coach people, you've been in law firms, things like that. If I read your book or I'm listening to this podcast and I'm like, yep, I'm doing all of that stuff. I've been doing it for 4 years. Can you diagnose, because human beings run on patterns, right? For largely it's all the same stuff. Can you diagnose and share with us what you think is the most generalized likely issue if someone is nodding along saying, yeah, I don't force myself to play golf. I know when to ask. I text people, but I'm doing this for 4 years and it's crickets. Just like kind of where you were, your friend was able to diagnose for them. So imagine there's this, fly on the wall attorney. What do you think is the likely problem when someone says, yeah, I've been doing all this stuff that you're talking about. It's not working.
You're asking the wrong questions, or they're
What are the
asking,
right questions?
meaning that they're not developing the personal side of things. Mostly that question always happens with more men than women
Yeah.
clients. And I have a bunch of those clients that have come to me like, I'm doing a podcast, I'm writing articles, I'm doing all of these things. And I have, 5,000 people on my LinkedIn, and I still can't convert anything to revenue.
Yeah.
Well, and so we have to go down and break down what they're doing, how they're doing it. And a lot of times what you end up finding out is they ask for business too fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? They haven't developed the relationship and they give people the ick, right?
Yeah.
And because of that ick factor,
Yeah.
I mean, not that I say that to my clients that you're giving them the ick, but
No, but
really what's happening is
yeah,
there's
we want to be transparent. We want to be open because we want to help people, right? And I agree with you. I think the trust isn't there.
right.
Either you don't have the relationship or your competence hasn't been proven yet where someone would trust you with their matters, right?
Mm.
And it's likability, right? Like a
Mhm.
lot of times, like, if we only talk about work, you become like, you're not even paying attention to the glazed effect in the person that you're talking to, where they can't get away from you fast enough. So
Yeah.
that's great that like you became friends with them on LinkedIn, but their eyes tell you that they're trying to run away from you. And meanwhile, you're asking for, lunch and whatnot. They're not going to go to lunch with you.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I go into these meetings, and I have over the, 25 years, where I think the meeting was terrible. Lunch meeting went terrible. Why? Because we talked way too much and we didn't learn anything about the potential client. And I walk out of those meetings and my colleagues will be patting themselves on the back. Great job, great job. In my mind, all right, there's like, that's awesome that you guys think it was great.
Yeah.
But we're getting zero business out of this, this lunch that we just went into.
Yeah.
And because they don't stop to listen.
Listen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes back to like the core things of listening and building trust and likability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I share a story about all this? So I was a junior associate and I had a friend that worked at a company, and I won't say the person's name for privacy, but they're very high up, or they were high up at Starbucks and then one of these big computer companies and like in the C-suite, right? And I went, my friend was in the legal department, and I went to this person because I knew they could give business. And I said, my friend works for company X, and we do really good work. Look at the firm I work at. Um, is there any chance we could do your work? Right. And this is at a conference, and they were sitting down. So I kneeled next to him, like just whispering. And I don't know why, but in my delusional head, I thought that would be, one, that I checked the box, that I did something productive. I introduced the firm to someone that could give us business. But, bless her heart, she said to me right then, she's like, no, that's not how it's done. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, how old are you? I was like, well, I'm 30. She's like, I'm in my 50s. I already have all the people that I trust that can do better work than you and that I've known for a long time. I don't know who you are, and I'm never going to trust you. You need to go talk to the 30-year-olds and get to know them so that they can trust you when they're in their 50s. And that was the best advice I've ever gotten. And sure, I was red-faced and I kind of walked away with my tail between my legs. But I credit this woman for, being part of the group of people that taught me the art of client development and relationship building. And, I don't think as myself as a lawyer. I think as myself as being in the hospitality business, because that's what we all are. A client needs something, you show up and you deliver it, right? And you, like you said, you become one with the person who is your client. So I think your story about all that made me remember that. And in the interest of being transparent, I wanted to share that we've all taken our lumps.
And I mean, that goes back to, you know, I would love to have someone that had told me in law school or coming out of law school, everyone you know will become somebody someday.
It's true.
Right? Like, and we did keg stands and like we did all sorts of silly stuff in law school, and we were complete morons in law school, but it was so much fun. And I kept in touch with our graduating class and whatnot. But like, normally they just don't teach you in law school that everyone you know today could be a potential client later. And I don't
Mhm.
even think all direct, I have, here's the fun fact. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I don't get associates reaching out to me for help
Mhm.
because no one has told them that when they make partnership,
No one
there's a
tells them.
new added role and new skill set involved. And I'm
Yeah.
always amazed that every city I've gone to, associates do not show up to read the book or to come to the launch parties when every associate needs to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the partners, like within their first year, don't know what they don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so it's kind of a sink or swim mentality. And if you look at a law firm structure, it's a pyramid. So not everyone is meant
Mhm.
to make it. And there's structural things that a law firm does that, basically weed out. Unless you're a natural rainmaker, they weed you out.
Mm.
And what they don't recognize, Dinesh, I think that you will laugh with me on this, is if you don't make it in a law firm, where do you end up? You end up in-house, right?
Mm.
And if you end up in-house, now you have the power to decide
Yeah.
too, right? And so if you look at like in-house counsel, it's full of women and people of color and people that basically couldn't bring in that kind of revenue
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
inside of
mean,
the law firms.
yeah, I don't think what you teach is even on the radar for people, right? So let's give people some actual value, right? Um, underpinning all of this is trust and relationships, right? Underpinning, we're not in all business is a relationship business. People have to trust you. People have to trust that when they refer matters to you, that they can't themselves do, that you're not going to make them look bad. All that is it. What small actions, things that are everyday actions that we kind of dismiss, disproportionately build that trust with both current or potential clients? What should the 30-year-old or 25-year-old associates be doing that aren't these heavy lifts? Like, I'm not going to fly you to Aruba and spend a week with you and wine and dine you, or take you to the Super Bowl or something like that. That I know that's what rainmaking is. What are the small actions?
So the easiest one that you can do from the couch while watching TV or in a subway or however you get to work, and it takes 5 minutes a day, is put all your friends into LinkedIn. And then I didn't have LinkedIn when I was growing up. So this is a tool that you guys have from the get-go, from the time of graduation. Put everyone in and write to them. It takes 2 seconds to send a short note being like, oh, it's your birthday. What'd you do? Right? Like, it doesn't have to be formal. Building friendship means informal language, right?
Mhm.
You're just kicking it. And if you see that they got a job, say congratulations,
Mhm.
hey, let's grab lunch and tell me all about it. Do
Mhm.
Yeah.
those types of little things that you can do from your phone sitting on a couch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't take that long because I feel like I'm selling LinkedIn, but at least it gives you notifications that it's someone's birthday or they switch jobs or something. Pay
Yeah.
attention. And you don't actually have to go to Aruba then.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because even things like the book you're reading, like if you make time to read a book, for example, that you really find interesting, it doesn't have to be a self-help book. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be any book. You can ping one of your LinkedIn connections and say, hey, I think you might, I'm reading this and I really liked it. I'm going to just tell you about it. Like, just so if you case you want to pick it up, it'd be great, right? It'd be, I think, a good read for you to enjoy. Those are really simple ways to let people know that you're thinking about them and that you're thinking about them specifically, not just, no one likes these DMs that, I get them all the time where it's like, have you thought about doing events? You have such a powerful presence. Like, what if XYZ? And, it is so icky. But when you reach out with like a book recommendation, or I tried this new running trail and I jogged right by, where you used to live. I don't know if you're still in the area, but you might like this jogging trail,
Yeah.
anything like that.
It's any of the small things that make you look more human than robot.
Yeah.
Works well. And if you start incorporating that small little tweak into your life at the age of 30, then it's just something you do all the time. You're not even noticing that, like, oh, it's just 5 minutes. It's just, hey, I'm having my cup of coffee. Let me scroll through and send out a couple messages while I'm having my coffee. And those little small things impact people because you took the time out. And don't use, the LinkedIn gives you like the rote messages.
AI generated,
Right. Don't use those. Say something personal, right? Like everybody gets congratulations on your work anniversary. Say something different, like, hey, I can't believe you've been there for 15 years. Wow, time flies. Right? Like, say something that is authentically you. And that may not be my words. And so I'm not trying to get someone to do, there's no cookie cutter way. So my methodology may not work for somebody else. So my voice may not work for somebody else. So find your own. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. You got to do a lot of self-reflecting to know who you are, and then use your voice in those ways.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things I would add is that, a lot of times when it comes to business development or rainmaking, we find value in it if the firm or the organization pays for us to do something, right? And, you got to think about that. Like if the firm doesn't want to pay for you to go to a conference, but you think it's going to help your career, like, okay, let's have a real conversation about where your priorities are, right? And then the other thing, I love the book recommendation. I would just send them the book. I would just
absolutely
buy it and send it. So the point I'm trying to make there is that if you have the ability to put people in the path of value or opportunities, then they're going to find your interactions useful and not lost in the sea of things, right? And there's so many easy ways to do that. Going back to what Sejal said, everyone's going to be someone, right? In law school.
Yep.
I didn't paraphrase. I'm trying to quote you. And because they're going to be someone, they're going to be looking for opportunities. And so if you know your law school friend is going to be whatever, a partner, general counsel, whatever, and you can send them their next job, for example. It could just be a link from Indeed or something like, hey, this company is kind of cool and you love tennis. Would you be interested in working at this tennis company, for example? You may not even know anyone. They're going to find your interactions of more value than your typical interactions, like Seema was alluding to, of, hey, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? And I think it's really important for people to remember the analogy of sort of a bank account. I cannot show up to Bank of America and open a bank account and ask for $100. I could make deposits for the next 100 months of $1, and then I can ask for that $100. So just my 2 cents from what I've learned.
Yeah. Sejal, I love that you've shared so much on the show. And what I really love about it is, it's inclusive. You don't have to have anything in order to do any of the things that you are talking about to start with. I mean, even if listeners never buy your book, which I hope they all do, but even if they never did, and they simply started with a LinkedIn message or a book recommendation. I love that Amazon actually now has a thing. If you have a person in their contacts, you can just send them the book, and you don't have to have this, hey, I want to send you something. What's your mailing address? And you don't have to creep them out. It's just, you just send them the book. My mind is just exploding. If you like to bake cookies, write down the ingredients so people with food allergies can be sensitive to that. And just, it's all these little things that you can do. So, and the power of just microdosing and micro shifting and creating that compounding interest is really, really special. I like that your story about, I was banging my head against a wall and in 6 months turned it around and did millions of dollars. Like, anything can happen, guys,
Sejal, I know you're busy. You're in the middle of a book tour. You came to DC. Some of my friends attended. I know you're going to be in New York. You were just in Philadelphia. So we're really grateful that you could spend some time with us. But we can't let you go yet, right? At the Happy and Human podcast, we have a really world famous wrap up, and I'm going to lead it. But I have one tiny question before we get to the wrap up.
Okay.
Where do you get your confidence from?
I think by failure. By
Interesting.
failure. I think the confidence comes from failing for so long, and then on the flip, it comes from all of these people, asking me questions.
Hmm.
And because they are asking me questions, I realized quickly that I'm the expert, and I never intended to be the expert. And it was recognizing that nobody in the room knows this more than me. They can claim that they know it better, but at the end of the day, it's me. And I think there's confidence in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that answer. All right. So tell us one thing that you know beyond a doubt, because you're the expert, right? We all heard it. You're the expert in the room. That if we all did today in whatever part of our life, if we're lawyers, we're not, we're coaches, whatever we are, that we know will undoubtedly change our lives in short order.
Quit second guessing yourself.
Mm,
I think we're our own worst enemies. And part of it's culturally, but
yeah.
we have that voice in our head
Yeah.
that stops us from trying, or we're not good enough. There's this internal voice, especially for, I don't know if it's different for men or women, but I know with women, there's a voice that, oh, I need this more, one certification. I need this, whatever it may be, extra thing. And then only will I become an expert, or people will look at me differently.
Yeah.
Stop with that internal voice and stop saying that to yourself and just try.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll fail. It's okay. Try
Mhm.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's so in their own heads about whether they're going to fail or not that most of the time nobody even notices when you trip and fall.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about I just took the kids to see the F1 movie yesterday, and
Mm.
surprise, surprise, but no surprise about how the movie ends. But one line that really I loved was Brad Pitt basically says, "Stop beating yourself up. There's plenty of people out there who will do that for you."
Hmm.
And I just loved that he said it that way. I thought it was so poignant. So this is called Ask It Forward. Listeners, if you are brand new to the show, thanks for sticking with us to the end. But Ask It Forward works like this. So the guest before us has left a question for Sejal, not knowing who they are, what we're going to talk about, when we're going to record, any of that. It's just a blind question that they have asked. Sejal, you get to answer it. And then, of course, you get to ask it forward. So this question is from Dr. Zain Hassan. If you could go back to your 20s and give yourself a piece of advice, what would that be?
Oh my God, this was going to be my question.
Oh, you got to think of another one.
So, okay, great. Now I need to think of another question.
Now you could ask it. You can ask it forward again.
It's a great question. I think a lot of it, I think it goes back to what we said earlier, the self-doubt. A lot of it is I think if I had to tell myself that stop thinking life is a straight line,
Hmm.
because you just don't know what you're going to end up doing. So I
Yeah.
think that for me, I had this, like, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to do this, and this is what my career is going to look like. None of that happened. So stop having these expectations of what life is going to look like and try new things. And I think that's what I would tell my younger self, because there's always points in my life, and being South Asian, you have parents that have all these requirements that you must do, and tell you that you're just going to suck at life if you don't hit these milestones. And if I had to go back, that's what I would tell myself, is stop listening to them. Go out there into the world and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love
I
that.
love it.
I really wish I had gotten that piece of advice when I was 20 for sure. Well, so you can totally ask that same question. You can literally ask it forward. But you're also welcome to think of something else.
I think what your greatest fear was when you were younger,
Mm.
about where you thought that you were going to fail. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to think about that one.
I think that question, I mean, I know it does require a little bit of thinking, so it might stump your next guest. But I think that question, because you learn from failure. And I think a lot of us have this expectation that we're not supposed to fail at anything. And, or at least that culturally, that's what I was taught, is just keep your head down. Your work speaks for itself. People will recognize, and you come out realizing, no, I need to boast about myself. I need to brand myself, and nobody has taught me that. And then there's this internal wow, am I this person? Yeah, to just let people know, yes, you have to brag.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think, first of all, failure, I love reminding my kids, failure is just a first attempt in learning, right? It's one of my favorite acronyms. Because it really takes the pressure off of, quote unquote, whatever it means to fail. You just get back up and you move on. But I think when I hear you say brag, what I think you're saying is, going back to everything you just spent the last hour talking about with us, is be okay with sharing your interests and sharing all the things about you. It's not about, I closed $1 million yesterday. Nobody really wants to hear that, but we do want to hear, I'm really excited that I got to help this client, right?
Mhm.
There's a way to do it without
There's a way to
being
do it.
that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know who that guy
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to do that in order to get the promotions and
Yes.
get placed on committees. And that's something that I would tell my younger self, that listen,
Yeah.
you have to, because I see too many mediocre people making it, not because they're super smart. It's just because they've boasted about themselves to a degree that everybody else comes around them. And
Yeah.
culturally, we don't. And we keep our heads down, and we, think that people are going to recognize, and they're not.
Right.
And
Mhm.
we have to be our best advocates. We advocate
Yeah.
for our clients. We need to self-advocate as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it, that you have to be your self-advocate. I think there's a line between boasting for self-validation
Right.
and sharing wins and successes as a metric for what you're capable of, right? So, and you know what we're talking about, right? It's hard. It's kind of like porn. You know it when you see it. But telling a guest that we've won an award for the podcast, I'm not looking for your validation. I'm trying to
Right.
prove to you it's worth your time to hire or come on the show, things like that. So.
Yeah.
Great question. We'll be sure to ask it. We don't have a really fancy gift to send you for spending time with us, and your time is valuable. I know for a fact it's valuable. So one thing we try to do at the Happy and Human podcast is to give you the opportunity to share with us an organization that's near and dear to your heart. And Seema and I, from our own pocketbooks, because we're not sponsored, we have no revenue coming in from this. This is a net negative financial endeavor for us. So we will make a contribution to that organization, and our hope is that in your name, it'll be a way to thank you. It'll allow people who don't even know this podcast exists to benefit from our conversation, because I know I benefited, Seema benefit, our listeners will benefit, and you obviously will benefit from the exposure to our audience. But it's a way for us to make a bigger impact than just our conversation. So with that, do you have something in mind where it could be legal or not, that we can make a contribution on behalf of yourself?
It's called Saki, and it provides resources for South Asian women in difficult situations that may not be able to speak the language, or have kids in tow, and no financial resources and things like that.
That's
Happy
amazing.
to honor you with a contribution to Saki.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Is
you.
it sati, like satay in Gujarati, or is it
Sakhi? I think it is.
okay? Saki. Okay.
Saki, yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I didn't know. I fellow Gujarati on the show, so I'm saying sati.
Of course.
Amazing. Well, Sejal, your book is available on Amazon, but tell all of our listeners, where can they connect with you? Where are you headed next for your next book tour?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Sejal Patel, attorney in New York City. Just you Google that. Or you can email me at spatel@sageivconsulting.com. Alternatively, you can just call me 201-344-6508. And the next book tour is in New York City. It's on July 29th. DM me or contact me in some way and I can get you an invite to it. Look me up on sageivconsulting.com, another way to find me.
Amazing. Any plans to come to Austin or Houston with your book?
Maybe Austin.
Oh,
Maybe
well, then if you
Houston. I don't
do,
know. I got to
please let
figure
me
it
know.
out. I need an internal advocate in those cities
Gotcha.
to boots on the ground to find me a venue.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I hope I do see you in Austin. And
Yep.
I'm so excited that you came on the show. Thank you for sharing